Right, this is chapter 11 on the muscular system, and starting around slide 12 or so, we're going to be going through names of quite a few muscles, and your job is, well, in lab we label the muscles on models or pictures of models, but here we're more concerned with uh, grouping muscles and categories, knowing their actions. So let's get started. Well, we know that there's three types of muscle that we've been through: skeletal, cardiac, and smooth. But this chapter, we're going to be focusing on just the skeletal muscle. And skeletal muscle, if you remember, has at least one tendon at either end, one side being the origin, the other side being the insertion, which insert or originate typically on bone. So when the muscle contracts, they pull on the bone, right? They never push. So that would be this point right here. And what one muscle group does, the other undoes. Well, that needs more explanation, so we'll continue with that on the next slide. We got four new terms here as far as muscle functional groups: prime mover, antagonist, synergist, and fixator. I'm going to explain these on the picture or the image on the next slide. So you can always go back to this slide for explanation, but I'm going to use that picture. All right, right here we have an elbow joint, and the elbow joint is being flexed or bent. Now there's going to be a muscle that is doing the grunt of the work or most of the work when a specific action is performed. That's called the prime mover. So the prime mover, like it says, has the most responsibility when a specific movement is being done. So in this case, elbow flexion, well, our prime mover happens to be a muscle called the biceps brachii, which produces most of the force in this action. When that biceps brachii is flexing the elbow, well, there's other muscles that are going to help out. So they don't have most of the responsibility, they just have some responsibility in helping, in this case, the biceps brachii, and that's called a synergist. So synergist, like in this case, brachioradialis. We see another synergist here that's underneath the biceps brachii that we can see. It's called the brachialis. So those are synergists. You can see they're helpers. They reinforce the same movement. And once we have a movement like elbow flexion, well, the muscle on the other side of the body part, in this case the arm, is going to oppose that movement, and that's called an antagonist. So yeah, an antagonist will lengthen or stretch when the prime mover shortens or flexes. So it's going to perform the opposite action if it were to flex, and it would be the prime mover, and the original muscle would be the antagonist. So they're just at either end of the joint, in this case the elbow joint, producing opposite motions. So when one is contracted, the other is relaxed, and vice versa. So in the case here of elbow flexion, well, it's the biceps that's the prime mover, and the triceps is the antagonist. If the triceps were to contract and the elbow would extend or straighten, well, then the triceps would be the prime mover and the biceps would be the antagonist. And last definition here is when muscles are performing any of these actions, often there's a group of muscles called a fixator, and those are muscles that stabilize a joint while it's going through a range of motion. And last point that it doesn't say on this slide, right, but it'll say on the previous slide with all those words that I skipped, the same words here, but there's another name for a prime mover, and it's the agonist. So take that A and T off antagonist. An agonist is just another term for a prime mover.